Here you hear the best original guitar melody. Okay, here we go, people. Ready? Whoa, that's just so stupid. This is something different. Wow. Seems too bad. Try to use a pick now. There was always sun. For palm muting. How much people palm muting is for? I just figured out. Just change it. I was an observer. I was next to the World Trade Center towers right before the attack. In various ways, I could demonstrate recorded leading up to the World Trade Center attack in Manhattan, at Washington locations, and at from Connecticut locations, and demonstrably other ways it's discernible at um, Pennsylvania locations. No, for example, everyone has self-valued roles being and having been used remotely with the scientific value inside the communications of James Madison and of our founders behind him and his plan, and what nature communicates too about the scientific value of the human fact treatment nature breaching method that was measuring and maintaining what everyone said. Collusion slash S against themselves to an extent slash S. Otherwise, they were sensing for the breaching method, that person, that body, not roles, including if that body was a majority of people, including if that body was everybody. And that was entrenched. That's what was entrenched. Roles with that. Otherwise, that body was sensed. Northern colonies and southern colonies, but it was also entrenched that way at the countries at the other ends of that kingdoms, whatever you want to call it. People debate about that and what it means. Exactly the way the breaching method employed that, where we can observe this, is where how we have to appreciate James Madison's plan and the founders behind him, which are Native American too. That's a portion of the Native Americans and the founders, plural, as colonists behind James Madison, his plan, where no one had any means. There was nothing anyone could do about it since some ancient times. All exception nature were employed by the breaching method too, as a part of that, because it has a function by all locations slash S, where it's recorded. It has a complete, you guys have been child abused at campuses A through Z. And the people, they're educators. This is before everyone's, even the educators of the kids now, they came through campuses that were used from off them. Self-value collusion slash S. Further, Wethersfield people with the schools in intercities and were affected when they were kids, as ones at the campuses and ones next to it, and ones involved with as ones too at the same time with overt criminal enterprises, private ones. And the difference of that, and terrorists now too. So Wethersfield police have roles with all different countries at the campuses, intercities, personally and professionally, with retired Wethersfield police chiefs. Further involved with interbranch on a mass scale, people. There's only 3 branches of government. How hard do you think it was to keep them? Needed to hide lie progressions from their roles with crime scenes. They're increasingly getting involved with changing the meanings and hiding the value and real relativity of what's actually recorded. And they're just faking stacked fake things and recorded into the databases, into branch, and at their state offices. And the difference of it there, or guilt with the people with predicate acts next to it, or from the name driving by, or other exceptions next to it, because it's manifest that way relative to what forgiveness is important for too, because it's manifest that way because these locations are used remotely, there or and at other places, and the difference of that, because of this method, how it gets over on how, for example, nature is showing us about how we have the same color eyes and different color eyes at the same time per its body of hyper difference that that is also further hyper positive onto itself or not, and that's relative to us because we can't help but be itself, even anything that could be made up. It's particular hyper volume science slash S is that way onto the distinct finite parts of that thing made up, like art, or and the same with the active, distinctly, non-distinctly, or grouped and simultaneous. But as that further hyper simultaneous, it is that same body that is not our species body, is not the other species bodies that have the same quality aspects of nature. Even the bugs have an extent of consciousness and an extent of ability to communicate with us. And to understand, try to figure out we're communicating with them. Next time a bug gets in your house, take a paper towel or a napkin, something, even any cloth or whatever, and try to talk them nicely onto it, and like show them like motion, like about the door, open the door if they and it's take them out there. What I'm saying. When it used to rain, see, for many centuries now, the suburbs were designed tactically denatured for a torture, extortion, factory nature, slavery method of the people in it, in a way to have them self-value rules with that and deny it as collusion slash us with the breaching method and with motivations narratives, because it knew that nature itself would increasingly demonstrate to us a human factory nature breaching method is one of the things true always, plural. I mean, one of the things singular that is true always, that all those plural laws that were entrenched before America's founders were born and after their lives in ways they didn't want, and they declassified about this. They declassified about how there was a breach, just knowing there was witch trials, and there's a witch trials place right next to Webb House, and they changed the name to the Webb Stevens House, and to have that left out with how and why. George Washington had to come there right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, just against England, one part. Just and there were people there that were cheering us when we went against them, because the same internationally monitored conversations have possession slash s of them there too. Anyone was found out having been speaking about things that were only supposed to be spoken about, like building infrastructure outside of internationally monitored conversations, they were sensed and hurt through their own people, including if it was a majority of people, including if it was everyone. That's why no one's paying attention to the significance of them having suits and ties, counters, exceptions, and such serious topics in the news. But instead, just so overtly being directed to use those that as a truth for a lie, and then just make things not serious and pretend to be about free speech, let alone to pretend to be about free speech and free press simultaneously, only to cover up and censor the breaching method. They're pretending they don't realize what people say, change what they say when they regarding predicate acts. There are only three branches of government. They switch and forge names at the same time with overt criminal enterprises, plural, private ones, and terrorists now too, demonstrably with the syntax, self-value when they use words like extremism, radical, scholar. Their defenses of that are incapable of defending. They're incapable of defending what's practical, and of not self-valuing criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions, raw readings of statutes and precedents and of the sciences through history, at A through Z, everywhere the human species body is. Again, otherwise that body was sensed, including if that body was a majority of people, including if it was everyone, black pupils. See the whites of eyes. In other words, you don't leave out all there's all kinds of revelations with this, but we have them also replaced. We also have that scientific value that nature is showing us, and that our founders communicated. replaced, and we have the breaching method measured and maintains role self value with use slash S of what America's founder said, replaced. Communications is simultaneously greater than and more finite than what it said. Vaccines. I teach this thing. Say something. Yeah. So interagencies in the FBI. I put in some of the recent videos the name Joshua Julian. He's one of the ones involved from other areas who have been planting evidences on all sides of my case. And with names at each of the campuses I went to, I didn't have classes with, who have roles acting tied to people putting predicate acts, fake transcripts, faked audio and video into databases, pretending, like by putting fake transcripts and pretending things were recorded at campuses, filmed 24/7. Now, this roles also used all natures of investigations. Investigators originally still used criminally foreign influence tactically Jewish and raw, as what is also hyper evidentially recorded simultaneously / hyper simultaneously, where we have replaced again where we have black people's rights of lives, and a breaching method reassigned that, and that's left out, and when nature communicates with that. Again, hyper additional things, Maxine. And then people pretending such is debatable. And then they self-value. Campuses A through Z, campuses of they serve a function by the republic for which we stand. Abridged since some ancient times. And it was designed to work with exceptions and exception nature, not as the republic, not as its campus system, not as its legion. Before wars, or before wars. Inside NAS, what was used remotely as countries A through Z individually grouped in together. And very easily, all groupings of humanity, all voicings of humanity within them. They are measured and maintained, self-valued. Collusion /S, for example, at locations, areas, and states, everywhere a human species body has a body. Other things, others, or selves are blamed for things that the breaching method caused and keeps. Otherwise, that body is sensed, including as the majority of people, including if it is everyone, and that is adapted to. And this is what is the value of people when you hear them using words like extremism and radical, a terrorist, or gangs, or criminal enterprises, or war crimes. See, this is about what is worse than war crime, as we can discern. And there are roles with these predicate acts methods right through wars. And the motivations are not like they're pretending. And it's also manifest as uses of corner, like timing when people are going to walk by someone and then just walk, and someone's going to be sitting right there and just say something, and they pretend to have a conversation if they do it in the past. There's a complete possession over all like locations where people are going to time be. And no matter if it helps you when you're there or not, or in the future, or if it hurts you. And the difference of that was is also used by this breaching method. There are many nations involved with our own, and they never have possession over their factory nature, qual aspects nature together. See, these are short words that were needed and were shown by nature itself to us when we were kids. But we have people that are replacing what nature and our founders communicated. Don't forget that. And the nature debate has them using all exceptions and exception nature that appear to be a demonstration of other. What's actually recorded is how they're using those exceptions, exception nature dishonestly and tactically delusions raw. And in other words, even the difference of the best campuses and the worst campuses has been used remotely by this breaching method again, separating us from what nature communicates with difference as a certain hyper difference. That is again not us, not the other species bodies, but is both anyway. As one of the many ways that we could discern it as the hyper invisible conjunction, hyperconjunction to all parts of grammars and of English grammar, all parts of speech, as the invisible but still solid. Anyone who denies this will have inherent to, active to, and progressive to. Their logic and their nature of logic demonstration slash us of the same thing. I'm an expert on the nature of English grammar and on communication. And this is serious, people. Thank you. See my song, There Is Always Sun in California by Anthony Wall. If I had a better singer, I can make it nicer. No, thank you.